everybody, welcome back to Around the Water Bowl. I'm Rebecca with Chasing Tails Dog Training right here in the Quad Cities. If you're local, you might see me coming up on KWQC's Quad Cities live segment next week, so keep your eyes out for that. I'm going to go into a little bit of dog behavior, training, and what training with me actually looks like, so keep your eyes open. This felt like a really good time to talk through some of the things that I'm seeing typically around this time of the year. January. It brings us all those Christmas puppies. Yay, puppies! We all love puppies. But one thing that I really want people to know is that when it comes to puppies, it's not about doing all of the things. More, it's about doing the right things with a little bit more intention. January is all about setting intentions, resolutions, all the blah blah. So let's see how we can set some of these expectations with a little bit more intention. A lot of behavior challenges don't come from bad choices. They really just come from trying to do too much or trying to have really good intentions, and they don't quite play out the way that we want them to. So a couple things that I've run into recently is people talking about Littermate syndrome. So what is Littermate syndrome? Littermate syndrome is basically when you bring home two puppies from the same litter, like the name suggests, or it can also be if you get two puppies about the same age at the same time. And what Littermate syndrome is you're going to have one of three outcomes. First outcome, you've got dogs that they're constantly fighting with each other and fighting over your intention, and you see a lot of conflict and tension within the two dogs. Two, it could be that you have two dogs that overly bond with each other to the point that they become completely codependent on each other and they don't bond well with humans. Option number three, best case scenario, you end up with two dogs that don't have any issues. And now, if you're watching this and going, oh no, I just got littermates, it's not the end of the world. It just means that we need to look at our approach a little bit differently and figure out some ways to help each dog learn to be independent and work with their owner on their own so that they can be on their own. There's not that separation anxiety. They're not fighting for attention. They can coexist in the same home and still feel equally loved. A lot of this is going to be coming down to them having some one-on-one training, offering separate enrichment ideas, letting them have downtime on their own. So if you're kennel training, maybe one of them goes and takes a nap in their kennel while you're working with the other one, whether it's training, playtime, whatever, and really just starting them out early, learning that independence. This is absolutely not a judgment by any means, and it doesn't mean that if you've gotten littermates and you're starting to see some of these, it doesn't mean it's too late. Again, we just need to shift the approach and look at it from a different angle and look at it with a little bit more intention and make those small changes sooner rather than later. Another one that I get, and I get this a lot throughout the year, and a lot of it is puppyhood socialization. And this is one where trainers and veterinary staff and groomers and your friend and your neighbor and your aunt and your uncle and everybody is probably going to have a different opinion. And when it comes to looking at the professionals see it a little bit differently as well. Veterinary teams will tell you don't take your dog anywhere until they're fully vaccinated. A dog trainer will tell you that you're missing huge socialization not taking your dog anywhere. What we need to understand is there is a way to mix both of these theories in a way that makes sense. I feel like in general, when people talk about socialization, they're thinking about socialization with other dogs or with other people. That's not entirely it. Socialization is not about meeting everybody and playing with everybody and constantly playing with the other dogs. And honestly, there is a potential for having an over-socialized puppy. Over-socialization, it's January, don't judge my words. Over-socialization risks include forced interactions, overhandling, and puppies that will tolerate things, but they're not feeling safe. And if a puppy is just tolerating, they're not feeling safe, they're not comfortable. Eventually they're gonna find out that if they nip or bite or bark or something that we don't want happens and it makes the scary thing or the threatening thing go away, they're gonna learn that that gets them what they want, which is where we end up with a bite risk dog, and that's the last thing we want. Dogs that are or puppies, I should say, that are over-socialized can also become at risk for touch sensitivity, which means they're just like, don't touch me. A lot of this comes when puppies are just constantly passed around from person to person to person to person. You never get a chance to be on the ground and just be a puppy. It could be that we're overly grabbing at their paws and their faces. While it is important that we let them know that touching them is important, and touching their feet and their mouth and their tail and everything is important, we don't want to overdo it. We want to understand that consent matters, whether it's human or dog. So in this case, what is appropriate socialization? Socialization is a broad term that's basically a synonym with exposure. Getting your puppy exposed to different things, different sounds, different people, different surfaces. There's so many different things that they can be socialized with. For example, different sounds, whether it's a thunderstorm, fireworks, things like that. When they hear it when they're young, they're less likely to become reactive when they're older. Different surfaces, things have different textures, like what does grass feel like? What does pavement feel like? What does carpet feel like? Hardwood. The more surfaces we get them on, the less likely they're going to be like, oh, that's a weird thing. Different movements. When we look at adults versus kids tend to have a lot of movement all the time. So it's important that the dogs know that a lot of movement is okay. Whereas you might have somebody that's a little bit quieter, more inward, and they're not weird, they're just different. As far as people, it's important to get your puppy around different people. Look at people with hats, sunglasses, men with beards, anybody who's bald. That all makes a difference. Puppy's gonna look at it different. We want them to know that it's okay. This isn't a big scary thing. You might try and get them around somebody who's loud, somebody who's quiet. That way they're seeing all forms that people can come in. When it comes to interacting with dogs, if you have a family friend that you know their dog is up to date, vaccinated, healthy, it's okay to introduce them. But we want to make sure that we're also watching puppies' body language, that they are giving consent, that this other dog that they don't know can come into their space. So we need to kind of be careful about any rude dogs that just kind of rush in and want to play if the puppy's like, whoa, 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 too much. Because we don't want to cause a fear reaction, which can cause reactivity down the road. We want to ideally let the puppy approach the dog. This way the puppies can kind of see the dog and choose how close they want to get, however they're comfortable. Curiosity is far more important than pressure. Nobody wants to be pressured. All of these things can be done safely before a puppy is vaccinated. You can also sit outside of heavily dog-trafficked areas, so maybe you go to PetSmart and you just hang out in the parking lot in your car, or go hang out near a park or something where dogs tend to play and the puppy can observe the dogs. Observing is just as important as actual interaction is. Another huge thing that I can give you a tip on that is not talked about enough, in my opinion, is what I call happy visits. I have worked in the veterinary field for the past 5 years, and I have worked with several other hospitals, and where I was working, I have met a lot of veterinary staff members. I cannot tell you a single person or place that is upset by happy visits. A happy visit is taking a dog to a stressful or perceived stressful environment. So it could be the vet, the groomer, anywhere that your dog is just like, I don't want to be here. You can take them there for something that is pure happiness. At the veterinary offices, we always came and we would take the puppies, we'd give them all the cookies, all the love, we'd parade them around the hospital, have a little party for them, and then they leave. There's no all up in their personal business. There was no pokes, there was no procedures, no nail trims. It was pure happy. And honestly, the veterinary world is a rough field to be in. It will give every single one of those employees a little bit of a serotonin boost, and they'll appreciate it. Especially puppies. Who doesn't like puppies? Happy visits are important in that they build trust in the veterinary team and the staff, and they build confidence in you that you're not just taking them to a bad place. It can absolutely reduce fear in the long run, to where they go to the veterinary hospital or the groomer and they're like, these people are awesome and they love me and they have cookies. Who doesn't like cookies? Cookies and puppies, best thing ever. If your veterinary staff is super busy, you can totally just go in, say hi to the front desk. They'll likely have a cookie for you. Bring them in, put them on the scale, call it a day. This will also help you with scale practice, because a lot of dogs have a fear of the scale. The texture's weird, the movement's weird, they don't understand why you want them to step up on this weird thing. So it just gets them to practice that this is not a big deal. And it lets you know if your dog is overweight, underweight, and if you need to make adjustments in their food routine. All of this being said, if you're watching this and feeling like you've made mistakes, I can promise you, you have not ruined your puppy. Mistakes happen. We all learn from mistakes that we've made, or we do the best we can until we know better. So the important thing is to know that small changes made now will have huge impacts later on. Confidence is 100% built. It is not forced. And honestly, this is why I'm starting this year. I'm gonna have a monthly webinar and a monthly workshop where I can really work with people and families so they can get guidance early and feel more confident about the choices that they're making. You can find details about this on my website at chasingtailsdogstraining.com, or you can find it on my Facebook page. Whichever one works better for you. I will be posting the details as soon as I have everything mapped out. Until then, thanks for hanging out with me around the water bowl. If you found this helpful, absolutely please like, share it with a friend, family member, the lady down the road that just got a new puppy. I'd love to be able to help them as much as I can as well. Until then, happy training. I'll see you guys next time.